Hey man, what's going on? This is Frozen Brookie in my frozen house. I'm showing you, this is like a 67 Fender Mustang. It's got a bolt-on neck with 4 screws right there. It's got that big old F for Fender. Kind of cool. Got that, I don't know what you call that, Dakota red finish. But here's an interesting thing. You probably would notice that it was blue, and at the factory they probably had too many blue guitars, so they're like, hey, make it red. But there's a little arm wear. So it's got 22 frets, which I like. That nice Fender headstock, kind of a bigger headstock. This one's been refretted. It's got a bone nut, larger frets. It's got those plastic tipped tuners with a F stamped on them. It's got some nice checking, which is like the finish is cracked in a beautiful way. 2 single coil pickups, volume and tone. It's got this interesting vibrato system, which I'm afraid to touch because it will probably go right out of tune. But we'll test that. So these switches are interesting. If they're both in, each one's a 3-way. If they're both in the middle, the pickups are off. If I take this one and go back, then I get the bridge pickup, which sounds like this. Kind of bright. Lots of treble. If I put that in the middle, it's off. If I turn this one on, then I get the bridge neck pickup. Oops. Hey, where are we at? Got a short. Trying to get the amp set so it does not distort the camera. If they're both forward, I get both pickups. Same thing if they're both back, both pickups. So the weird thing is, if that's forward or backwards, it's on or it's both on. And this one, same thing. Forward, backwards, both on. Center, both off. Here's where it gets weird. If they're both forward or both backwards, they're both pickups are on. But if you make them opposite, you get this bizarre out of phase sound. Or if they're both in, it's out of phase. Same sound. Cool. Alright. If I was playing this live, I'd probably have both pickups on and in phase. Yeah, this guitar's been sitting in the case for a few months, so it is, the electronics are a little touchy. I'm just looking for some deoxit, and I'll spray it right in the pot, right in the switch, and flip it around, and it'll be just as good as new. I don't see my it must be downstairs. Okay. Well, I'll do that later. So that's basically how the switches work. I hope I wasn't too confusing. Just start in the middle, go back, you got your bridge. Forward, you got your neck. If they're both either forward or backwards, they're both on. If they're at opposite, they're out of phase. That's essentially it. Now, as far as the whammy, it can stay in tune pretty good if set up properly. It's pretty cool. It's a kind of a really loose vibrato. You can get really wild. Now, if you add distortion, I used to have a black 1975 Mustang, and man, it would stay in tune all night, and I could just go crazy with the whammy and make just crazy like Van Halen style dive bombs, and lots of feedback and lots of just super freaky stuff. It was really fun. Oops. God. Amp is loud. All right. So you could use a wah to decrease that treble. So I've got the wah set way back. But if I go forward, it's pretty painful. So it's a smaller guitar, and it does kind of feel, you know, it doesn't give you that big fat guitar feeling in your hands. It's so light and kind of a thin neck. It's got just sort of like a student guitar quality to it, which it is considered a student model guitar. It's a good starter. It's kind of fun to have in the collection, but if it's sitting in the case for a few months, I'm not really missing it that bad, but I figured it was time to get it out. I'll get those switches. I might take it to my guitar tech and have him maybe replace those. But I like to keep it sort of original. This guitar, I bought it, it had two big switches on it. And I had those removed, and I had a guy try to put in some plastic shell inserts, but it's not the greatest thing I've ever seen. Also, it was routed here. So somebody had routed for some big, who knows what they installed in there. So it's always like, let's just chisel out a big chunk of the guitar. Cool. Maybe just don't do that. But since it's already been kind of butchered up and I put on new frets and a new nut, it's not like it's going to be a museum piece for a perfect Fender Mustang. So I guess I could replace those switches and not feel too bad about destroying a relic. So it did stay in tune really good with my intense dive bomb. Cool, man. So that's a Fender Mustang. If you see one for sale at a reasonable price, grab it. I got this for about 900 bucks, which is pretty good. If I was going to sell it, I might sell it for about 15 to 1800. I don't know. Who knows? Hard to tell. Maybe in a few years I might let it go. But my first electric was just like this, so it's kind of nice to have. Nice little guitar. All right, keep rocking.